Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. Steve Schoengert, 5703 West 53rd Street. And I think this is what Mr. Weber was talking about 3C. You passed the resolution, and then...
You mean 6B?
And then 6B comes to money. So I imagine on the other 3D, it'll be coming soon. This stretch of road there that we're gonna spend $360,000 on is a half-mile long. It's a nice road, like Mr. Weber said. There's businesses all around it. I don't understand and this is just for design. This is not doing anything on the road as improvements. This is design. You know.
That's one part of it.
Well, and a little bit of Barclay is on, you know, but no road construction. It's all study and design. There's
it's also
no
on Broadmoor.
Tangible.
Broadmoor's a design.
Right, there's a little bit of design and a little bit of study, but no work on the roads. Like I say, $100,000 from special highway, which could be used on our existing streets, our neighborhoods. Ms. Crane, you know, you talked about the driveway tax and how we got to keep up our roads.
For the record, I have never called it a driveway tax. It's not a tax, it's a fee, just like your stormwater fee. It's exactly the same.
That's debatable.
Okay.
And that's another point also. It's in litigation. Are we going to spend this money? And then if the churches and the businesses and the residents of Mission win, then you're going to have to give it back. I mean, you're going to have to refund
Do you have
ill-gotten
any other
gains.
comments on the issue that's before us, which is item 6B?
That is it. That's the Transportation Utility Fund, $258,000. Yeah, using that when it's in litigation. What's the plans if the city loses, or when the city loses, of recouping this money? Is it, like Mr. Weber said, a bond issue? Or do we have any idea? Can you speculate?
I'm not going to engage in this conversation with you. If you want to voice your objection, I think it's noted that you have an objection to this motion that's before council on item 6B.
Well, one more question here for Ms. Crane.
Mrs. Crane's not going to answer questions either.
Okay, I have a comment to make to her then. You were referring to the transportation utility fee as helping, you know, fixing the roads in Residence, Johnson Drive, not to go to a study, not to go to design for a half-mile of road. I mean, this is the misuse of this. And like I said, when the city loses on this, they're going to have to repay the money they've gotten from the citizens, the businesses. Where is this money going to come from? I think we should kind of put our money into some established businesses here. They've been here for a long time. We can't give, it's nice to have new businesses come in, but let's take care of our old ones and our residents. Like I said, for a half-mile road, $360,000 is a lot of money for design. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Schoengert.
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Andre?
If I may, for some clarification purposes, this was called a design contract. However, it might be confusing because this also includes construction services, which will be observation engineering services for while we are constructing the road. So there are multiple pieces of this contract. It's not just to design roads. It's not just to design one block of road either. It designs multiple roads. The construction services piece is over about $115,000 of it. So just some clarification there on that.
Thank you, Mr. Andre. Is there any other discussion? Mr. Weber? Oh, wait, hold on. You've had your shot. Mr. Vandenberg?
Who's more adept to answer a question about dealing with the contractor?
On this?
Yes.
Well, there isn't a contractor picked yet.
No, not the person doing the construction, but the design work. How are we going to be presented with the plan?
They will do a preliminary design, and we typically bring back all of our preliminary designs to the Community Development Committee. And then we share them with the people as we're doing it to try to make modifications.
So are they going to start with a basic need plan and then have additions and alternates to add to it?
You'll have some alternates to these plans. My guess is there's a number of, I don't know how many public meetings do we have in this? One or two?
Each project element has a different number of public meetings assigned to it. The Broadmoor component, because we know in order to meet the West Gateway Form-Based Code, to meet the spirit of that, that does include, as Councilman Weber pointed out, increased pedestrian amenities. If the property owners in that area aren't amenable to those sorts of improvements, to scale that back. And so part of that public engagement, we actually have 2 public meetings scheduled for just that element alone to make sure that we're hearing the needs of the business owners in that area. And then we only have one scheduled for Martway from basically Broadmoor to Lamar, because there are fewer businesses in there, and we actually just had a meeting last week with Block and Company, and we know Hy-Vee is supportive of the sidewalks. So we don't need as much public engagement on that particular element from the businesses, because we've already had that discussion.
But the council will be presented with a basic design, and then we can
That's correct. Absolutely.
add on to it.
Absolutely.
Whatever we deem necessary.
And of course, we always invite the council and any member of the public to attend any public meetings that we have with property owners too, where plans are distributed as well.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Mr. Weber?
Mentioned Broadmoor to Lamar Avenue. We're talking some dollars. Page 18 in the paperwork I have here. Task 1 is the survey of $17,508. Task 2 is the exploratory phase, $12,996. Phase 3 is a preliminary design, $37,475. Phase 4 is final design, $40,770. Meeting and management is $11,864. And the bidding is $5,623 for a grand total of $131,737. That's just from Broadmoor to Lamar. And there's all the others in there also.
That is Martway from Broadmoor to Lamar. I think if you recall from the Community Development Committee meeting when Mr. Riverola presented it to council, we tried to present you with worst case scenario, and that's something that we as staff have been striving really hard to do so that we're not coming back and asking for contract amendments. Part of the reason we chose Olson for this project is that they can do all of the field and boring work in-house, testing, soils testing. It is our hope that perhaps that street will not qualify for reconstruction. It's our hope that the subgrade is acceptable and in good enough, stable enough condition that we would be able to mill and overlay it. If that's the case, then this cost comes down significantly. These costs assume that you're reconstructing the entire road, including subgrade.
I'm just reading the figures just presented in front of me.
I appreciate that.
All of everything there for the preliminary and the change orders on some of them and everything. And
All right, there's no change orders included.
To see where it comes from. It comes from the Olson Group, and I understand that. We'll go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Mr. Shepherd?
You know, look, I recognize this is a lot of money, but I want to make one point really clear here, too. The main reason the city is taking this position and taking action is because we do care about the existing businesses that are there, and we do want to make sure that we have infrastructure, whether it's for cars or foot traffic, that can accommodate everyone. If we didn't care, Mission Crossings would go in, and none of these studies, none of these design projects would be undertaken, and you just allow the traffic to come in as it flows in, and without any regard to, future needs for infrastructure. And I think that we also have to realize that development at Mission Crossings is going to bring in additional development or bring in additional interest into the city of Mission. And as hard as it is for us to conceive, that post office, for example, may not always be there. And so when it's not there and we're able to show a road that connects Barclay Street from Markway to 61st Street, we may be able to pull in somebody else that has a grander vision, because our location in the city is always going to be at a premium. And so the point is that we are making this investment because we want to make sure that we continue to stay ahead of the infrastructure needs of this city so we're ready for development. Because if you wait until people are ready to develop, you've waited too long. And if you don't have a plan, then all you're going to do is react. And that's why we have this. This is why we're being forward-thinking. And, you can disagree with whether or not a street will ever be connected or not. And I'll grant you with existing businesses don't think it can. But I think you also have to have the vision that we are a great location. Our community is a wonderful place to develop in. And we're going to get more and more of this, and we got to be out in front of it.
Thank you. Mr. Weber?
Madam Mayor, I'd just like to say that's a wonderful vision. Too bad that it didn't come out 3 years ago, and we could have worked on it for that instead of the bicycle trails, the 10-foot wide sidewalks, and all this other stuff. We should have concentrated on that other. We're just about, the horse is probably way out in the pasture instead of in the gate, as far as I'm concerned.
Mr. Schoenberg, did you have a question?
Yes.
Or a comment?
Yes. Thank you. I'll just take a minute here. And I agree with you, Mr. Shepherd. It's just timing. Timing. It's priority and timing. Right now, you drive up and down Johnson Drive, and, it's horrible. And these residential streets. So, I agree with you. We need to do that. But first, we need to take care of Johnson Drive and our residential streets. And, that's who voted you all in, is, the residents. We need to take care of them. And then let's go back over there and, do what you suggested. Right, we got a plan for the future. But we got to take care of our people, too.
Right.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Andre?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple additional clarifications, if I may, on what is before us. First of all, we are looking at design services to the tune of nearly $150,000, which are necessary to do the construction improvements to the roads. These are not studies. The studies have all been done. We are talking about design services for construction. As Mr. Weber read earlier, one of the costs in this is to go out and bid the construction. Second of all, we're not creating the vision tonight by doing this design contract. These visions were created 6 years ago by citizen and business committees. This is nothing new to us tonight. We're just moving forward with doing the design and construction. And I would further add, I know this is not the agenda item, but just to make sure everyone's aware, we did do the resolution earlier this evening for an improvements to Johnson Drive, the intent of, and it is my understanding that this council will see design services for Johnson Drive coming very shortly.
All right, any further discussion on this item, Mr. Weber?
I can't pass this enough.
Sorry, Mayor.
You talk about the Johnson Drive Visionary Committee. I believe Mr. Scanlon and the mayor knows that there was a committee formed, about 6 years ago, and I believe I chaired that committee. And I think the final report said on there that
There was a stormwater committee.
No, it wasn't. It was the Johnson Drive Committee from up here all the way down to
But it was when we did our
Row Avenue.
stormwater, wasn't it?
I can bring in the minutes and everything and show you.
He's referring to the street.
And the street, I'm talking about the street.
Yeah, you were chair of it.
Thank you. And one of the questions that come out of there, that the majority of them said that they want to keep Johnson Drive 4 lanes. That was a given. Okay, what's the first thing we do? Down on this here east end, we tear it up and we make it 3 lanes. Yeah, tell us about the committee and paying attention. Thank you. No more. I say no more.
All right, any further discussion? Please call the question.
Andre?
Aye.
Footlick? Aye. Rostier?
Aye.
Crane? Aye. Shepherd?
Aye.
Vandenberg?
Nay.
Weber?
Nay.
Well, that was fun, Mayor. Let's see if we can
You have one more, you have item
keep it
6C.
going. 6C,
Weeds.
Weeds. Sometimes it feels like we're out in the weeds. 6C deals with our 2011 contract for nuisance and weed abatement. Weed and nuisance abatement services are provided on an as-needed basis when property owners do not bring properties into voluntary code compliance. Neighborhood Services opened these services to bid, and 3 bids were received. Staff recommends awarding the contract to Verhulst and Sons at the rate of $30 per man-hour of weed abatement and $30 per man-hour for nuisance abatement. Madam Mayor, I move the City Council accept the bid received from Verhulst and Sons for contract work as needed for weed and nuisance abatement services at a rate not to exceed $30 per man-hour.
Second. Is there any discussion on this item? Mr. Weber?
No discussion, just a waste of money. Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion?
I can't help but clarify, Madam Mayor, these are not dollars that the city will be spending. These are dollars that we will be charging back to property owners who fail to comply with city codes. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a question on this particular item?
Just a comment, are those fees always collected?
Yes, they are, and I believe they're also liened against the properties. All right, please call the question.
Andre?
Aye.
Footlick?
Aye.
Roasted Air?
Aye.
Crane?
Aye.
Shepherd?
Aye.
Vandenberg?
Aye.
Weber?
Nay.
Does that conclude your report?
That does conclude my report, Mayor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item number 7 is unfinished business, and I don't believe we have any of that this evening. Item number 8 is new business. City Council, Mr. Vandenberg.
Clarification, why are the turn signals at Knoll and Johnson and Shining Mission Parkway all screwed up?
When you say screwed up, what are you referencing?
Well,
Going which direction?
Are you talking about east and westbound Shining Mission Park?
no, north and south, well, east and west has been doing it too, where
You're talking about on Knoll.
Knoll and Shining Mission
So when
Parkway.
you're on Knoll and turning
And you want to turn
onto
left,
Shining Mission Parkway, going west, or you want to turn east?
you get into the left turn.
I know, but are you, so we're on Knoll, is it both directions, or just when you're
It's
on?
doing it in all directions.
Okay.
It'll let the straightforward traffic go, but the turn lane doesn't get the chance to go first or go at the same time. And
Do we own that, or does Casey?
We own that, but that, I have a pretty easy explanation for that one. That signal went coordinated last fall with Operation Green Light through MARC, which the city is a participant. And when that entire corridor went live, as they were observing traffic patterns out there, they observed several near-miss incidents because there's not enough radius in that intersection to accommodate cars making that turn in both directions at the same time. So what they did was they turned it off so that you're not turning against the other competing traffic at the same time, because unfortunately if there's a large semi-truck or just an inattentive driver, they tend to make it a little wide and end up in your car. So, and they did that at several of the intersections along that corridor.
We got Lamar now.
It's also that way at Lamar. If you've been at Shining Mission Parkway in Lamar, it's not that way at Roland because there's not enough traffic there to warrant it.
because I've had a number of people say to me, well, I was sitting there and I didn't get the green, and so they started doing something else.
They do get the green.
Waiting, thinking that they're going to get the green
Yeah.
the next time around.
They do get the green. They should be getting a green.
But see, they don't notice that they're getting
Yeah,
the
they
green.
just need to be patient.
Because they're doing other stuff, waiting for the next cycle to come around.
That's their problem.
Well, you need to tell them they need to focus on the signal. If they focused on the signal and waited patiently, they're going to come into the queue.
Yep.
But I can certainly, if there's a concern that that signal isn't cycling to green ever, we can certainly ask OGL to come take a look.
It's just, it's screwing people up, it's what it's doing.
The good news is that OGL has reviewed the Knoll Avenue plans, and they say that based on the new configuration of that intersection, once those improvements are made, they should be able to adjust it back so that people are turning at the same time, because it'll be safe at that point.
I sure as hell hope so.
And at the
because
beginning of the cycle, not the end.
Right.
We don't need aggravated drivers trying to get into Mission.
We don't want any aggravated
They're
drivers.
leaving Mission, if they're on Knoll turning left.
Well, maybe they are trying to leave Mission.
And Mike, are you going to make a comment about Knoll traffic control in your report?
You can, since you're already on Knoll.
Since I'm already up here and since we're already talking about Knoll, our contractor has started work. If any of you have had an opportunity to be in the area, they are cooking with gas. They are moving right along. They're actually getting ready to mobilize their second crew of stormwater folks early next week. Unfortunately, we have a number of drivers who, in the first few days of road closures, they adhered to our warnings and our friendly requests to stay out of that area. They've now realized that Miles was only working at the very north end of the project, so they've started circumventing the traffic control, and so the through traffic has started using Knoll again, which was not what we had hoped for. Unfortunately, because there's so much traffic that's now using that's not local traffic, it's through traffic, we're actually going to have to shut down all of the side streets. So the streets coming in from Countryside eastbound Knoll, so that would include 61st Street, 61st Terrace, 62nd Street, and then 60th Terrace on the east side of Knoll. Those will all be closed starting Friday.
All right, Mr.
Yes.
Robert?
Is there a projected time when Knoll will be back to normal?
Well, by contract, they have to be completely finished with all road improvements by November 15th.
November 15th.
We anticipate, based on the schedule we saw today, that they should be done with the north end, we're hoping by July 4th. And north end would be from Martway up to Shawnee Mission Parkway. They're actually hoping to get the intersection done promptly after the July 4th holiday, because obviously KDOT's going to be very stringent on how long they can work in their intersection, and then we're hoping to have southbound cleared by the November date. And just so that everybody knows, as soon as Miller Paving is done on the south end, they're doing the Kansas Gas relocation work. So if you've traveled the south end of the project, there's a ton of traffic control that is not Miles excavating right now. That's Miller. They're doing Kansas Gas utility relocation work for this project. As soon as they're done, Miles will actually begin stormwater work on the south end so that they can make sure that that road is open by November with striping and everything. Hold me to it. It's going to be great. You're going to love it, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business? Lucy, would you like to share anything from NLC?
Maybe next time.
Yeah, I think next time. I just got back in.
That's true, that's true. All right. Next item, we have our mayor's report, and I have 2 appointments to make this evening to the Mission Convention and Visitors Bureau. They are Leslie Gust and Cale Herring, and you have their letters and resumes, and I will entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, in the absence of Mrs. Gibbs tonight, because they're Ward 3 residents, I don't put them forward here. You can put them for us.
That's right.
Madam Mayor, I move the City Council approve the appointments of Leslie Guest and Cale Herring to the MCVB with terms expiring December 31st, 2011.
Second.
All right. Mr. Weber?
Is this in addition to the present, or are a couple of them retired on it?
Well, we had some resignations.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, so it's
just
not over.
replacement,
It's
basically.
just replacement.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's replacement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, yeah, it's exciting. Some of you may, these two are, I think, going to be engaged, so that's exciting. Mr. Scanlon, City Administrator's report.
This Friday at 11 o'clock, we have a groundbreaking at the Nazarene Church at the corner of 63rd and Knoll.
Is that 11 o'clock in the morning or at night?
Morning.
That was nice.
All right, There being no further business before council, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The meeting's adjourned.